This is the Grandpa Neighborhood News Team. Some me get it, and some me go no. Me nah take out, and me nah put in.
All right, good afternoon. Junior Socrates here. I come to you from the parish situated in the east. You've heard of Saddle to the east. Well, today we come to you from St. Thomas in the east, that legendary place, home of Paul Bogle and many freedom fighters who would have charted a course in a bid to make Jamaica and their hometown, their community of St. Thomas, a free place. Indeed, over the years, this parish has suffered somewhat in terms of its neglect by continuous administrations that has not really looked at St. Thomas to look into its possibilities of growth. And so I come here today with the Blue Mountains in yonder place just hovering over it, and I come to speak to a young lady, Kimberly Thompson, who aspires to represent this community. Okay, you graduated from UWI?
Correct.
Uh-huh.
I studied international relations and management studies at the UWI.
Interesting. Now, when you graduated, if I remember correctly, you also took the penmanship. You tried your hand at being an author.
That was before I published my first book, Watershed, before I graduated from university. Writing has always been a part of who I am. It is, if you speak to some of my high school classmates, they would remember me because I am a writer. So that book started immediately after I left high school, and then I completed it while in university.
Interesting. I think you followed it up with another book after that?
Yes.
Yeah. Which one is that?
It is Anecdotes of an Old Friend. That's an anthology of short stories.
So after Watershed, you basically decided that you wanted to do the compilation of the short stories, right? And you put that out. Are you presently working on anything, or have you?
I have another manuscript completed. It's a children's book. I should have published it from last year, but I am still working on the artwork in terms of the illustrations. So that will be out soon.
And tell me now, in terms of your extracurricular activities, I'm speaking now in terms of the politics. How do you divide your time?
Well, it's quite simple. You just have to know what it is that you have to do and execute accordingly. For example, to get them out of the way. So when this time comes around, I am available.
You practice good time management.
Here you go.
Okay. Now let's get to the real reason I'm here, the road to the council. You aspire to become the next councillor for the Trinity-Bill division. This division here seems to, as I look around it, been subjected to some form of neglect over the years. Well, I'm trying to be diplomatic. You see, there is no sitting councillor at the moment.
No.
Okay, what happened?
Unfortunately, he died.
Okay. And so the council seat is vacant at the moment, and so the JLP will be fielding a new candidate. You've been here for some 4 years?
I've been here for 5 years.
For 5 years. What's it like working for 5 years in a division, expecting for the parish council elections to be called, and each time they keep moving the goalpost?
Well, as is the case with most other things in life, it was never a smooth sailing journey. I would have come into the seat at a very young age, at the tender age of 22. So it was part of it actually was a learning process for me, learning about the communities, learning about the people, learning about the different personalities, and taking the time out to understand the issues. Because we cannot truly represent people or offer quality representation if we don't know the demographics, we don't know the intimate details, and we are not familiar with the different personalities that we are dealing with.
Speaking of the demographics, basically an understanding what is going on in the division. In our previous conversation off camera, you mentioned to me that this is a community with diverse needs. Can you elaborate on that and explain to me what you've discovered in the past 5 years?
It is a community with diverse needs in the sense that if we should take a look at the older members of the community, they are predominantly farmers. But we find that younger people being exposed to other things are yearning for new opportunities, some of which they don't even know the first place where to go to access them, because entities like the Heart Trust are not necessarily easily accessible to people back this side. So those are some of the things I would have encountered over the time, aside from, of course, the poor infrastructure in the area, poorly kept public places like the cemeteries, the dilapidated community centers.
We're looking at one right here in the background here. That is in Danvers-Penn. That is the one of the community centers here, and it's absolutely gutted. There's nothing in it. The roof is leaking. There's absolutely nothing, and yet if you look around, you will see young people yearning for some play space, for things to do. I see young girls and young boys out here that are they come out on this afternoon to
they are playing football, and the football team here is actually doing quite well. On Sunday, they will be a part of the parish finals, right down at the York Sports Complex. But to go back to the issue of the community center, it is so unfortunate that you don't have the time whereby I could take you on a tour of the division, because this one is in a good condition in comparison to the community center in a community like Georgia. Unfortunately, there is not one good community center in the entire division. The best among them would be in the community of Somerset, and even that needs some work. They are dilapidated, completely deteriorated. There's nothing good that I can say to describe these places except that they need intervention and they need some work.
And you did mention earlier on that in terms of the parish, this community is one of the second largest.
Yes.
In the parish
of St. Thomas.
That would be Trinity and Danvers-Penn together.
No, Danvers-Penn by itself.
Danvers-Penn by itself.
Right.
Imagine that.
The largest
Approximately how much people you would estimate live here?
If we should go by the voters list, I believe there's approximately 2,000 people.
Approximately 2,000 people. So if we say those that are not registered to vote, we can at the very least double that, quite possibly triple it. Okay, so these people yearning for representation at the moment, they sit and they watch their infrastructure and everything fall apart.
Definitely.
There is
no representation. I believe, politics aside, because even though we are political activists and sometimes labeled as politicians,
right,
there comes a time when the political issues have to become a part of the conversation.
Right.
The constituency of Western St. Thomas has arguably the most inept, irresponsible and incompetent member of parliament. We're talking about somebody who has been here since 2002. That's 21 years now.
And you're speaking of James Robertson.
Yes, I am speaking about James Robertson.
Yeah.
And if we look at this community center, for example, the same one you would have had on the camera just now, when he became member of parliament for the constituency, he would have gotten a community center that was in excellent condition, fully equipped with resources, computers, etc. And we're talking about 2002. Computers were in this structure, this building, in the year 2002. Fast forward to 2023. Look at the condition of the place.
Everything is gone.
Everything is
There's
gone.
not even a table in there.
Not even a table, no electricity, no running water, just an empty shell. And it is so sad.
How then do you motivate young people, this generation that I see on the field here, to garner any kind of skill, all the little things that community centers would provide within constituencies and divisions. It's just not there.
It is just not there. That is why we are grateful for people in the community like Jamoy and Mr. Hilton, who you know try to keep them together, like the activity we see happening right here. Try to motivate them, try to keep them on the right path, try to steer them along, because if it was left up to the representation from a political level alone, then these people would have just been left out there like lost sheep.
Let us fast forward a little bit, and let us say that you're elected the next councillor of this division. Okay, what's your pet project? What are one or two of the things that you've identified that you want to tackle to provide to the people of Trinityville division?
One of the biggest things I want to do in this division is advance agriculture in the area. It is an agrarian area, and we are living in a time where agriculture is a big money business. It's no longer a Farmer Joe situation where, you know, Farmer Joe put on that tattered looking pants and water boots and go to the farm and then come back home with a bunch of banana. When we are talking about agriculture now, we are talking about technology, we are talking about aquaponics, we are talking about hydroponics, we are talking about utilization of equipment, tractors, plow, and those things. In some areas, the challenges are so severe that people are dependent on beasts. And you know what I mean by beasts? Donkeys, horses, mules, to take their produce from the farm to the main road. Now that kind of thing is counterproductive in this day and age. How much can you produce if it is that you are depending on beasts? So the farm roads are important to me. They are near and dear to my heart, in terms of getting them open so that people can access their farms. And like I say, get some soil testing done. Come together, decide what are the best crops to plant in this area. And one of my pet projects, because this is a field I work in, is the export industry. I want to open markets for my farmers to ensure that when they plant their produce, them don't spoil on them.
Well, you know, listening to you, and for the viewers watching this, they would say, what does this beautiful young woman know about agriculture? And you did mention to me earlier on that you're trying to, you're planning and getting into pig farming. Now, what would a beautiful young woman want in a pig farm? Explain that to me.
What I want out of the pig farm is to turn it into a thriving business, because I understand that agriculture, if we are not able to feed ourselves, then we are doomed as a country, we are doomed as a nation. And like I said before, I am from the community of Peartree River. I grew up around farming. I grew up seeing my grandmother and grandfather as small farmers.
So you want to carry on the legacy?
Top it up a notch and not just be a little farmer, but be a farmer that turns my farm into a sustainable business. A business in which I can recruit other young people like myself and train them and
you have no problem getting your nails dirty?
None at all.
None at all.
None at all.
You're quite ready to dive into the pigsty.
Dive right in. We have water around, so when we're finished, we can scrub them out and go again.
Well, you know, I think that would be an inspiration for many of the young women in communities like this, because as they search for something to do, when they see a young Kimberly Thompson, one who has graduated from the University of University of the West Indies, with her degree in international relations and marketing studies. Did I get that? Management studies. There you go. And yet she wants to spend a part of her time toiling the soil and you know, in the pigsty and all of that. It must be an inspiration for these young women.
Definitely.
That was the news from the Grumpa Neighborhood News team. Some may get it, and some may go. I'm going to take out, I'm going to put in. May God continue to bless you. God bless you.
Thank again for watching.